Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that you won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show. With your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino. How be you?
Oh, hey, it's starting to look like summer, although the grass is 40 feet high already.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, there's a very nice outside gig this weekend when it's supposed to be 61 and wet. So lovely.
Well, the one lovely thing that we can say is we have to thank the listeners. You guys, I can't say it enough, man. You're doing what we ask, and that's just spreading the word, and we really do thank you for that.
Yeah, we could not do it without you. We really couldn't.
Right. And please, when you do, tell your friends. And I mean, please tell your friends.
Yes.
Tell them you heard it here first.
Because you probably did.
That's right.
You probably did. You might not have heard just the guest here first, but you heard something about them here first. I guarantee you.
Yeah, we're pretty good about that.
I guarantee you. So we're going to take a break and pause for the cause, and we're going to be back with our guest of the week, internet sensation guy.
Yeah, man.
He's hitting it big, so we'll find out how he got there. We'll be right back with Mr. Rob Scallon.
Hello, everybody. This is Irving Schmolowitz, and you're listening to Amps and Axes podcast. Rock and roll.
Hi there, this is Matt Wakeling, host of the Guitar Speak podcast, a weekly show produced in Sydney, Australia, interviewing leading guitarists, luthiers and gear builders from Australia and all around the world. We're into all sorts of styles, all sorts of gear, so if you love the guitar, why not look us up on iTunes or Stitcher and join thousands of listeners around the world who tune in to the Guitar Speak podcast.
All right, and we are back as promised with our guest of this week, Mr. Rob Scallon. Rob, how are you?
Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm doing good.
That's all right. At least I'm not driving.
So, I always have some kind of little story at the beginning of all this,
absolutely.
Right? Well, I do a lot of surfing, and I check out all the YouTube channels, and I'm always looking for like the new guys that are doing something, unique and different. And that's how I came across Leo. And I can't ever pronounce his last name, but our good buddy in Norway.
Right.
And, they kind of intertwine, right? So if there's one that you look at, then it kind of makes a suggestion for another one. And if it's done correctly and it's not somebody that's just tagging the universe, you kind of get the suggestion for the next guy. And Rob was one of the next guys.
Cool.
And I started checking it out, and I'm going, man, how do you do this? I mean, I'm just like, we're guitar players. And these guys write the entire song. And it blows my mind. And then there's a video that follows with it and all. So I said, well, we got to get him on the show because we got to find out his process.
Right. And like, what was, if there was one thing, what was the one thing that really shot it into the stratosphere?
Yeah.
But, I'm going old school here, and I'm hitting the Wayback Machine first. Because, before there was internet, there was the birth of Rob Scallon, which was somewhere, and then Rob learned to play guitar. So we're going to figure out all of that stuff. So Rob, if you would be so kind, give us a little history, man. Where were you born and raised, and what got you into playing music? And if it's more than guitar, let's hear about it all. So tell us a little.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to make it concise and interesting.
Don't do that.
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, Though my whole family is from Illinois, Chicagoland. So I was born in Nashville, but I moved back to Chicago when I was 5. And my dad played guitar. He had a few lying around the house. He didn't want me to play his Fender Stratocaster. He also didn't want me to use his camera. And, and now that's all I do. So I think maybe when I was, 10 or 11, I started picking it up and I had some interest in it. I remember in middle school, finding Metallica and that really resonating with me, and like, I really need to learn how to play guitar. My first instrument was drums. I was just kind of a fidgety kid, and I guess my parents figured, if instead of tapping on my desk at school, maybe if I learn the drums, my fidgetiness will be a lot more tolerable.
Well, you said your dad had some guitars laying around. Was he a professional player? Was he a hobby player? And is that what he did in Nashville?
It was a little bit of both. He tried to make a career out of it. So that's why we moved to Nashville, actually.
Okay.
And my dad's the type of person who he's very hyper-focused. A lot of people in my family have a kind of a hyper-focus, if you will. And with him, it changes, it seems, every year or so. And when right before I was born, it happened to be guitar and Bob Dylan in particular, which is why I'm named Rob. Because, and he was just really, really into Bob Dylan and wanted to make a career playing acoustic guitars and singing folk songs, and went out to Nashville to give it a try. And it was still so new to it that I think it kind of overwhelmed him. And so we gave it a try, but it didn't lead to a career, and we ended up moving back here. But we had the guitars, and my name was Rob. So
yeah, that's a tough place, man. I mean, there's just so much talent.
It may as well go to L.A. to be a rock star. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. I mean, I've said this 100 times. You can walk into any Greasy Spoon bar / grill restaurant.
Yeah.
And there's somebody playing there that's infinitely better than anybody you've seen before in any little place. You know, it's like, why? Why are you here? And
craziest thing ever.
Yeah, there's so much talent there. But
It's
it's one of those places where all the talent moves. So that's why there's so much talent there.
Austin's the same way.
Yeah.
You go in, you go,
not so much anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's weird, too.
Yeah.
And it has kind of dried up there.
It
but
is.
when you do see that guy, you go, it's Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Right, for Austin.
Yeah, man.
It's a tough place to make it. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
So is it safe to say, Rob, that your name's not Robert, it's Rob?
Yeah, it's Robert.
Oh, okay.
Boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well-
Because I thought being a Bob, maybe just said, okay, that's it. Just going to be Rob, but we'll be close to Bob.
Well, hey.
I think I need a few more years before I can go by Bob.
But
start out with Robbie or Robert, and then maybe when I get to my 40s, then I can be Bob.
You can
I
be
haven't
Bob.
earned that yet.
Well, just do it upright and legally change your first name to Dylan.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think my mom was okay with that. I think the Rob was as much as
as close as he was going to get.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't think she wanted that, but he certainly did.
Wow.
All right, so you moved. Well, your parents moved to Nashville, and then you moved back, guitars in tow.
Yeah.
So, and you started playing. You said drums was the first thing, and that's quite a few of our guests.
Yeah.
Guitarists, drums were the first thing, and it really makes for a guitarist that has good rhythm.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, that's even more really, really basics of music. You got rhythm, and you learn that with drums a lot quicker, I would assume, than you would with picking up the guitar at first. Or yeah, at least that's what I would assume. So I played drums for a little while, but the guitars are around the house. My dad had a Guild acoustic as well as a Fender Stratocaster and a broken amp. And sometimes when he wasn't home, I would plug it in and give it a try.
Wow.
And it wasn't until maybe middle school, particularly I remember finding Metallica. I was like, I need to learn guitar, but it wasn't it wasn't until a little bit later after that when I found Primus, actually, specifically their music videos, where it changed from guitar and music just being a part of my personality and a hobby, something I enjoyed. When I found Primus and saw their music videos, that was the turning point to where I want this to be a career. I want to make music videos and play instruments with too many strings on them and make crazy music. And that was the turning point to where I really took it seriously. So I started with drums, and then I bought a Fender P-Bass because I really wanted to play bass like Les Claypool.
Wow.
And then actually later I went on to guitar. So I was strictly a bass player, I would consider myself, or mainly a bass player for a few years before I moved to guitar.
So you got the whole rhythm section covered first, you know?
I guess so. I mean, I definitely didn't master it, but I at least had them in my hands.
That's very cool. That's make it surfing.
Yeah,
make
sorry about that.
That's right. So, did you? Where did you take your guitar playing next? And you know, did you take lessons? Did you learn by yourself? And then did you get together with other people, or did you start right into kind of the video aspect of things?
Video was a little bit later.
Okay.
I was really interested in making videos at the time, but I would make comedy videos with my friends. But I never really put the two together, probably because I really hadn't had nicely recorded music yet, you know, to go over the video, I would imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, let me think here. It's kind of, I think the next step, I guess, was playing in some bands at the beginning of high school. And that's when I kind of learned how to record music. And in that case, I just went back to being a drummer because no one needs a guitar player, you know? Yeah, so
well, you know, they need good guitar players, you know, and you know,
Yeah.
Honestly, I've always said if you want to be employed as a musician, play bass because there's never enough bass players. But
yeah, that's also the case. And in my particular circle in high school, the drummer was always needed, and so that's what I ended up playing with the bands. But I mean, that was a while ago now. I don't quite remember the exact timeline, but once I started really doing my solo thing and incorporating video into music was 2007, 2008. I started my YouTube channel a little over a decade ago, February in 2007. And that's when merging video and music really became a priority.
That's pretty cool, man. 10. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I keep thinking it's a new format kind of thing, but I guess all of this has been around a little bit longer than you think nowadays, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, 10 years ago in the electronic world is like, it's like 30 years because what's happened in 10 is incredible.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, 10 years ago, really, people weren't walking around with smartphones. You know, they were still on the edge. You know, it was not really there. But
right.
You know, in the past 5 years, forget it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Now, most of my views, I think, come from mobile. I think it's over 50% now across the board. It's mostly mobile.
It's crazy. But I wanted to interrupt here. One of the things, and I know we're going to catch up, but I just this one video was the one that really drew me to you, and this was a while back. And this one's got a couple hits on it, about 4,300,000.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. It's called Metal in Inappropriate Places.
Yeah, working on the sequel right now.
The first time I saw that, the shower one is funny, but when you're in the library, that is priceless. Because how did those people sit there without just cracking up?
We actually were legitimately a little bit frustrated that day because we shot one full day, maybe 2 weeks prior to that, and then I, just being an idiot, lost all the footage. I reformatted the card just because I I must have had a bunch of other videos going on at the time, and I thought I had it backed up.
Oh, man.
So that day was kind of a last minute, we need to get everyone together, this footage is lost type of thing. So I think they might have been legitimately a little bit frustrated with me. So I don't know how much of it had to do with acting.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it was a good time. That's where I used to work. Prior to doing this full time, I worked at that library. So I was able to just call in and, call my old coworker who's now the boss there, and you let me, come in and film after hours.
That's too funny.
So, anyway, go ahead.
I'm going back to...
Because we're going to get back up to this, and then I've got a ton of questions with the stuff that he does. So
okay, cool. Well,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. It's all good. Now I know where you're going. It's okay. Yeah. So you did mention that you started playing with some people for a while, I guess. So what, were you into any specific covers? Did you do a lot of Primus or what, what kind of stuff were you doing? And
you could call one of the bands in particular, not Primus covers, but they might as well have been, because it was pretty much just a bad, Primus cover band, but they were technically our own songs, but they were just really, really bad Primus songs, essentially. And then we had the first band that I really put a lot of time into was maybe sophomore year in high school, maybe freshman year. We were called Squirrel in a Spacesuit, and it was like comedy rock. Yeah, it was a good time. And we had songs about... let me think about this. We had a song called "The Sound That Bread Makes," and it was pretty rocking, pretty rock and roll. We had songs about Ice-T. It was just really silly, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow,
that was the first experience. That was maybe, what would that have been? 2005. MySpace was new, and that was my first introduction to promoting music on the internet. And I tried to learn how to get our music out there, particularly using MySpace, which makes it sound like, we were in the dark ages. But
well, yeah, MySpace, by today's standards was dark ages, but
yeah,
everything has to start somewhere, and that was like, wow, we can do this with this technology,
Yeah, I just saw it as this gigantic opportunity, and we would try to link up with other local bands or local shows or just anyone making some noise locally online and try to work in the band somehow. And we grew a little following. It was a lot of fun. I remember back those days just being so excited looking at it. It's like, oh, I got 50 plays today. This is so amazing. And so that was the first bit of that, I guess, that really got me addicted to...
well, I mean, hey... For some people, 50 plays today is still a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Just because you're into the 7 and 8 figures, some people go, 50 views. That's awesome,
Oh, it was so exciting.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still a big deal. I mean, 50 people. That's a crowded room,
You want to,
right? Especially if they're local people looking at local stuff, and they know that next Saturday you're playing somewhere, and those people could come out and see this. That's great.
Totally.
Well,
that was a big difference too in the MySpace days, is that you could actually target people locally, and that's not really the case now. At least, I don't see many people doing that. Like you don't grow a local audience really on YouTube. I think. But back then it was all local.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing to me because now the numbers, because there is so many different platforms of media, right? Mm-hmm. Especially like, let's just use television. And you can lump YouTube in with television now. I mean, it's actually a network. Right. They have shows like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon. I mean, they're all making good quality stuff, right?
Right.
So if you really think about it, in like, God, what year would it have been, Jeff? Early 80s, maybe late 70s, the Dukes of Hazzards on a Friday night would have 21 million viewers.
Oh, yeah.
But you only had 3 channels.
3 major channels and,
So that-
like probably 3 UHF channels if you were lucky.
If you were lucky. Right? So when
and there was the PBS, too. So,
yes. But when you hear that number, 21 million, you're like, what? Well, it was no options.
Exactly. There was nowhere else to go.
And there was no else. Yeah.
Right.
So when you get, your 4 million views on YouTube, that's a pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah.
There's 7 billion people in the world, and the internet goes pretty good around.
But there's 7 billion options.
Exactly.
Right.
So, to get that's a really good feat.
Yeah.
And that's why when you hear like the Justin Bieber videos that get like 1 billion hits, and the Gangnam Style guy that got like 1 billion hits, it's like
as the first to reach 1 billion.
That is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
everyone has seen that video.
Yeah. I mean that, and because of the way that they have perfected this, and obviously we're going to ask a little bit about this, Rob, but it's unique now. Back in the day when it first started, if you went and hit it like 5 times, it would show 5 on the counter. But they figured out a way to make it unique hits.
Right.
So it's not like some guy in his house with a computer with a robot bringing up your YouTube video 800,000 times.
The days of play cheating are long gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the early MySpace days. People were able to do that. But
they've ground that thing down.
Like all your friends stay up all night and keep hitting the button.
Yeah, we wish. But anyway, I'm sorry.
I remember seeing MySpace pages from local bands, and you would see like the page had been up for 3 months, and they had 3 million plays. But today at 11 p.m. at night, they had 4 today. It's like we know what you're doing, guys.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's not fooling anybody.
No.
Yeah.
So I just want to go back 1 second here.
Okay.
And I want to know exactly what sound does bread make?
It sounds real good, let me tell you.
It's only if you can hear it.
Popular songs. That was a fun one.
That's pretty hilarious.
It's too bad. Could I send you an MP3 to play on the show?
Sure.
Would you want to hear the sound that bread makes?
I will put this in the interview.
It's too cool not to hear. It's just too damn cool not to hear.
It's going to be in there. Right. We have his permission. We have your permission, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
and
good.
Again, this is us at 14 or 15. Let me see if I still have it.
Oh,
it's
good.
in here somewhere.
Bread is my only friend. I like it when it sends postcards in the mail. I hate it when it's stale. This is the sound that bread makes when it bakes.
All right. Well, while you're looking for that, I just want to go over a couple of the other videos that I've actually checked out.
And I got it. I just sent it to you on Skype.
Okay. You don't. There's some guys out there that approach it, and they have a genre. They stay within those realms, and they really don't deviate out. But you do things where you're playing ukuleles, banjos, 9-string guitars, 8-string. You've got you did this one called the Down Tuning Experiment. You took this Stratocaster. You were drilling out the low E string. I mean, you put a bass string on it at one point, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to get it to drop Q if you're going to be doing it right. If you really want to get heavy.
You just kept doing this thing where you just kept changing the strings, and I was like, this is crazy. But what was really interesting is how much it didn't go. It wasn't like, I don't even know how to express it. You have to watch the video. It wasn't like all of a sudden the sound became, 40 feet wide. It was all kind of still within this realm, but it was going down,
Yeah, I think kind of something that video pointed out a bit is that just down tuning on its own isn't that powerful. It's more how you use that down tune. Like, I think it would be a better representation if every step along the way I changed the riff a little bit. And then
yeah, because it kind of held held true to exactly what you were playing each time.
It didn't change too much.
Yeah,
but there's certain playing styles that work so much better lower, and other playing styles that work so much better higher. But when you're just doing the same riff, it doesn't. The change is so gradual. So I think
really
maybe it would be worth it to go back to that again and change the riff along the way. But yeah, I guess if there's anything that I learned, it's that it really comes down to what playing style, the playing style fitting the tuning really is what makes the biggest difference. Not just, you can't just switch the tuning and then all of a sudden
exactly. Like
different.
you can't put Angus Young on there and expect it to sound anything different than Angus Young, right? You know, you're going to hear this thud, but it's still going to be Angus Young. And I think, you know, that the dynamics, it's all about where you started or how you went, you know. But the Slayer Angel of Death on a banjo, just absolutely awesome. And then you also have Metallica, right?
Yeah, so this is something I've been doing. Most of my videos, well, I guess it's kind of all over the place, really. I was going to say most of them aren't covers, but I don't know exactly what the percentage is. Maybe 1 out of 3 is a cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what the statistics are, but yeah. Anyway, the Metallica is what I'm currently really, really busy for this year. Well, currently. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Well,
I'm
it is May.
Super, super tired because of Metallica right now.
It is May, so
I haven't been getting very much sleep recently, getting all these videos done. So excuse me if I just doze off here, but yeah. So 2 years ago, I just decided it would be fun to dedicate the month of May to doing Metallica covers, and I did the last 2 years, and this year I'm doing it again, but I'm kind of expanding it out to just mean all metal covers for May. So we're celebrating Metallica, May Sugar, Iron Maiden, System of
I
Maiden.
love it.
And it's just a lot of fun. I'm really excited for all the videos that are coming out this month, especially the one that's coming out on Monday. We're doing a cover of BYOB, and it's a much bigger production this time around, where we rented a restaurant, we have actors, we have extras.
Wow, man.
And I just, the whole premise is that me and my friend go to play at this really fancy place, and you know, I'm in a suit, we have a cello and a violin, and we go in expecting to play, you know, nice, soft, romantic music, and the manager of the restaurant quickly says, "Oh yeah, and people love that we have BYOB here." And we're so dense that we think he's talking about the song, and so we bust into this song and really rock out, and the vocalist smashes the violin, and then we get kicked out, and that's the premise of the video, and it's so fun. I'm really excited for it to come out.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Hilarious. Hey, I got one for Metallica, because it doesn't have to be all Metallica.
I got you.
Yeah, it just needs to have a bad May pun in there.
Are you doing any Brian May?
I could.
Yeah, a little Queen.
A little Queen.
You got to put a little Queen in there. So you have this girl in your video, Sarah Longfield.
Yeah, she's a badass.
She is scary. I mean, and I recommend everybody check out her stuff. We're trying to get her on the show. It's unbelievable watching her play. You know her. You've obviously had her in your videos.
Yeah, we've done a few videos together. We just got done shooting for a pilot episode for something that'll probably never come out in New York.
Yeah,
that we both did, and that was great fun. Working with Sarah is always great. She's incredibly talented.
Yeah, I mean, just check her out. Cool. That's all I got to tell everybody. Yeah, because
I haven't yet.
I was like, how does she? This is what always gets me, right? It seems like younger and younger, they get better and better, right? And I think it's just because the information that they can gather from guys like yourself and, you know, girls like her, these boundaries are just endless with the amount of what they can do.
Well, you know, like we've said many times before, we coming up never had this kind of access to to be able to watch and be instructed at this level.
Yeah.
So early in life.
It's like, remember when and I always go back to this, Nita Strauss was the one who basically gave the secret away, if I have to do a secret in quotes here. She started guitar by learning how to play Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
But that was what she said. She goes, well, everybody was listening to it, so I thought that's what I had to learn how to play. And I go, what the hell? I mean, it's like, wow, so I want to run, but I'm going to do my first Boston Marathon next week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a huge pie to
it's
swallow.
It's all point of reference.
Yeah.
It's all point of reference. You know,
and we had guys.
My reference was, Mel Bay, Volume 1.
Exactly. The fastest guy we had was Alvin Lee.
Right. Absolutely.
And he was just doing standard,
sliding pentatonic. Licks,
he was doing Chuck Berry rhythms and solos. He was just doing them faster.
Right.
So that's some pretty cool stuff. So how many videos do you have? Because the list is crazy.
I think on the main channel, I think it's like 300 now.
Yeah, you've got a couple channels, right?
Like that. Yeah, well, I have the main channel and then I have the second channel, and the second channel is fun, and that a lot of what's posted there is just intentionally garbage.
Outtakes. It's the outtakes channel.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's also a lot of educational material. Like I recently did a video that I was pretty proud of there that was called String Gauges 101. And it's just, the basic information you would need to know about string gauges if you're just picking up the guitar. But then it's
putting
also
a bass string
really
on
great
it.
For the second channel is kind of like the DVD extras, maybe.
Gotcha.
Oh, cool.
You got the main stuff on the second, and then the behind the scenes video, or the main stuff on the main channel, and then the behind the scenes video might be on the second. Or sometimes I like doing pretty absurd stuff. Like last Metallica, I did every Metallica song in 4 minutes. And, yeah.
Wow.
And it was pretty challenging. It was a fun challenge. It's just a matter of how can you play the most recognizable part of the song and just get it over with as quickly as possible, and just enough to where you can recognize it.
Right.
And,
wow.
You can find ways to end one song the same way another one starts, so that you can really condense it. And their new Hardwired wasn't out yet, but I just blasted through every song on all their major albums in 4 minutes. And then the next day on the second channel, after every Metallica song in 4 minutes came out, I put out a video called 0 Metallica songs in 4 minutes, where I just stood there for 4 minutes. and that way you get both demographics. It's like you get the people that want to hear Metallica,
and then the people that don't.
Exactly. Then you get the people that weren't interested in hearing Metallica, and that way you got something for everybody.
Man.
Yeah, that's what the second channel is for. But anyway, to get back to your main question, I guess like 300 or something.
I got you.
Oh, another one that I was really proud of was I put out the first shovel guitar video.
Oh, okay.
And, and that was fun. That's a whole story behind that getting made. But so I put out a video on the main channel.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen.
Playing. The shovel sounds surprisingly good. So I put out the first shovel guitar video, and then the next day on the second channel I put out the guitar shovel video, which was just my friend shoveling with the guitar. So again, you get
the best of both worlds.
Right.
Exactly.
So you get the people searching guitar, and you get the people searching shovel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how many instruments can you play? Because I see heart metal. You got the ukulele. You got the banjo. You
of course, drums.
You play cello too, right?
I mean, to varying degrees. I mean, I don't feel I play cello well. I certainly don't think I play harp well. But if I just focus on that one instrument for a week, I can put together something that I'm proud of, and that could be a great video. But I think my base really is, bass guitar and drums, and then I can kind of take what I learned there and apply it to other instruments. So I can play a good amount of instruments poorly, I guess.
Okay. Now, you have a signature model with Chapman guitars.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
That is a pretty cool feat because that's a brand new guitar company, Rob Chappers from Andertons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does he work with
in the UK?
Does he work at Andertons, or is he's just affiliated with the videos? Do you know that story?
He works for them in a way where they make videos together, but it's not like he's an employee or something like that.
I got you. Yeah, that's a big YouTube channel over there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
With the Andertons boys. It's so funny. I saw an interview from the last NAMM with Greg Kalk and the captain and Chappers, and Kalk he's a tough one, man. You can't do a straight interview with that guy. And he had them rolling pretty good.
Yeah, pretty funny.
But wow! So how did they approach you, or how did that go down?
I think I don't remember how I got in contact with them at first. I think it was quite a while ago because both me and Rob Chapman have been doing this guitar YouTube thing for over a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
So we were aware of each other. So I don't remember the first time that we got together, but I got in contact with Chapman Guitars and them, and they sent me a few instruments to use in the videos. And I think it was just something we chatted about here and there. And maybe 2.5 years ago, I just kind of got on a call with them and said, hey, do we want to really do this? Because I have an idea for a signature model that I would be really, really happy with. And we just committed to it, and that was that. So it was something that I think it was an idea that we had floating around for quite a while.
It's cool. So take us through. It's a neck through.
Yeah. So the premise of the signature model was I wanted to do an 8-string, but an 8-string that wasn't strictly geared for playing metal. It was something that could be a bit more versatile, both in how it sounds and how it looks.
Okay.
And so that was the basis of it. So we did neck through mahogany, got humbuckers on there. We did the rosewood fingerboard. Now we're moving to the ebony.
Nice.
And yeah, and it's just a natural wood. It's not painted, and it's awesome.
Any particular reason you're moving towards ebony?
Oh, so we started with rosewood,
mm-hmm.
and that was I grew up playing rosewood on my Stratocaster, and so nice. That was what I was originally drawn to. Even though it makes more sense to go with ebony from an aesthetic point of view. And now with the new restrictions on rosewood, Chapman Guitars is just getting rid of all the rosewood fingerboards. And they said that they could continue to do rosewood if I absolutely needed it, but it makes the guitars more expensive. It gives all this extra paperwork and
yeah.
And yeah, so I figured, if there's all this restriction on rosewood, there's probably a good reason for it. Ebony will make it a little bit snappier, which probably a lot of people will like.
Yeah.
And it will look better with an ebony board on it. So we're switching it to ebony and making a few other really small adjustments. And I'm excited to get the new models of those too.
Yeah, so we're
ebony and the rosewood here. And
I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah, we're on the website. We're looking at the 6-string and the 8-string.
Yeah.
And man, that's a beast.
Yeah.
What is that? Swamp ash on the wings?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that. So we got neck through mahogany in the middle, and then swamp ash wings. It's kind of in that case, as far as the wood's involved, they sent me a few Chapman guitars, and one of which was swamp ash. The other one was mahogany, and what I loved for the tone of the mahogany one and the look of it, I didn't like it for its weight, and I thought it would be a cool mix of the two to put together the mahogany swamp ash, and it has a really cool contrasty look.
Yeah.
Particularly looks good in the videos. It looks a little bit different in the product shots that they have on there than it does in the videos, but
it's a little darker, I would think, on that mahogany in the product shots. But so that's like a real thin C profile on the neck and jumbo frets and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And locking tuners.
Nice.
Once you start using locking tuners, it's impossible to go back.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
It's
like why don't every guitar
this.
have locking tuners on it? This is such an amazing invention.
We've had Ron Spurzel on, and from Spurzel Tuners, or Spurzel Tuners.
Yeah.
Sorry, I always get it wrong.
Spurzel.
And I could talk to him for 3 days because that's all I use, and it's it is kind of weird how you got guys that are so traditional that they were just like no, and I'm like, look,
I was one,
and then you played out, and you were like, hey,
the more you play out, and the more you have to change strings,
it's just
during break,
the
more free time you want, A locking tuner will give you free break time.
I always say, man, why are you worried about that part? You know,
Right.
it's like let's get it over with.
Yeah, it's not a part that I don't know. I feel attached to. You know, winding strings around the post. Like it's not something I'm really excited about doing.
Yeah.
To me, the locking tuners just make so much sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is true.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever used? Just speaking of cool guitar innovations, the what are those bridges called? Evertune. Have you ever tried an Evertune?
I've seen them. I understand them. That is the craziest invention ever.
Dude, it's so cool.
It is a bridge that you tune once. And Jeff, this is going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
And you don't retune until you change strings.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It uses cantilever springs in. I'll have to show it to you off the air, but it uses cantilever springs that no matter
you
how
you set the tension.
You set the tension,
Wow.
but as that tension releases or increases, the string never goes out of tune. And you have several ways of tuning it. You have a way to tune to where you can still bend strings.
Okay.
And then you have a way that you really can't bend
Like
the
a
string,
hardtail kind of,
right?
yeah.
The note stays solid every time.
Yeah, like you could bend the string up what you would feel would be like 2 whole steps, but it stays there.
It stays at the same pitch because it's constantly adjusting itself to maintain this certain tension.
That would be completely bizarre.
It is, when you put it in this one position where it never goes out of tune, you have to have a different mindset, right? You have to gear yourself like, hey, I can't do bends.
Right.
Yeah, you can turn the bending back on, of course.
Yes, you can do that.
Wow.
Now, the thing is like, and the reason that they did it is, think about this. You get the guitar in tune, and you're playing a lot of open chords. This thing just stays solid. I mean, it's like, very neat invention.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit of carving of the body. It's not a drop-in type thing.
Okay.
If you have a Strat bridge, though, isn't it a drop-in on that, Rob?
I'm not sure.
I got to read up more on it. But it's I saw the demonstration. I was like,
wow,
that doesn't even register.
Yeah, feels like it's completely reinventing the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
No? Yeah. It's amazing. There's some guitars now that I know, like the Devin Townsend signature model has it built in from the start, so you don't need to, get it put
retrofit,
in.
Yeah, man.
In that case, yeah. But I guess that's the biggest hurdle is, you got to carve out your guitar and get it installed. But I mean, a guitar that never goes out of tune, I mean, it sounds like magic.
It is pretty weird.
Wow.
You tune it
It's
once,
super cool.
and for the life of the strings, you never have to touch it again.
Well, lately that's turning out to be 2 gigs, so,
Yeah. But think about it, though. You would not go out of tune.
Yeah.
You don't have to retune. You don't even have to touch it. I mean, it's
even if you put on new strings and they're the same exact gauge, it's just already in tune.
That's right. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if that would change with different manufacturers of the same gauge, because how some strings feel different.
Different tension.
Yeah, they just feel different. And
I imagine if you knew the poundage.
Right.
That's the only thing you have to do. But from what I understand, even if you do change it, tuning it is not, crazy, because once you have it, you don't have to touch it again.
that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. So
wow.
it boggles the mind of the old guys, Rob. The younger guys like yourself, you kind of go, oh, okay, there's the new thing.
If I ever grab one of those guitars where if you bent the string, it would never go out of tune, I would completely lose it. I would just, it would be like I have just transcended to a different planet that doesn't have gravity or something, It's like
it would be
the
a
laws
weird.
of physics are gone,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would be
wow.
like, why does it feel like I'm pressing on the tremolo as I bend up? I'm pressing down, because it just stays.
Wow.
It stays perfect. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think if we wanted to do it would of course make them a bit more expensive. But if me and Chad, we've talked about if we had like one of these signature models that was just absolutely, top of the line, everything we would want on it. Evertune bridge, dishwasher safe, Wi-Fi included. We would have a Evertune bridge on it. It's just so cool.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
We're just checking it out now. The
That's
six
cool.
string goes for like $800.
What?
mm-hmm. Yeah, the 8 is I think it's $9.99 depending on where you get it.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's 24 fret jumbo nickel frets. The radius is 350 millimeters. What is that inch wise? 14 inches, I think. Is it a 14-inch radius on that guy?
I don't know. I do not have the.
I have to do the math. Yeah, I think
it's a Fender scale.
Yeah, so it's 25 and a half.
25
But and if you look at that, so it's it's either I think it's like 14-inch radius, because 400 and something is like 16. So that makes about right.
About 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went with the Fender scale length for the 6, and then the 8 is 26 and a half.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, you got to add a little bit more.
Right.
That's what with the 8 string, I prefer the 26 and a half. Yeah, for me.
And it comes with strap locks too.
Wow. And the
that's
pickups
another
are
thing.
hot.
Once you start using strap locks, you can't go back. At least that's how I feel about it.
Strap locks are, there's those things that I always say, it's like, you pay a couple grand. Let's just, say you pay a couple $1,000. Look, money is, it's kind of a luxury when you go out and buy one of these
expensive.
things. And money isn't like you can go outside and just pick it off that tree. It doesn't exist.
Right.
So when you do throw a couple $1,000 into one of these things, or even $1,000, you don't want it falling off of you.
Yeah, I've done
ever.
that. I've done that.
So to have a strap lock, it's sort of like the locking tuner. It's just like, just get it.
I was looking at the pickup specs here on the screen.
Those are hot.
They're
as
really
hell.
hot, and the name is so funny. The name totally reflects that. Passive aggressive humbuckers.
Yeah, passive.
Yeah, Rob Chapman came up with that.
That's pretty good. It's funny, chappers.
I do like that. Yeah.
Passive aggressive.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
It pretty much sums that up.
Back on the strap locks too. I so rarely play live, but when I do, it's with a group of a bunch of other YouTuber musicians, and I play drums for a band when we're on tour called Driftless Pony Club. And almost every other show, the bass player or rhythm guitar player, their guitar would just fall off and they would have to catch it. They would end up playing on the ground. So to start up our last tour, I bought them all strap locks. Like, hey guys, let's not do this ever again.
Yeah, man.
It just makes it interesting and fun and challenging.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun every now and then when Sam would drop his bass for the crowd. It's kind of a silly moment. It happened a few times where it just flat out, dropped on the ground.
See, that was the key phrase there. For the crowd.
For the crowd.
For the crowd.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Not for his bass.
That's
hey,
right.
Look, the headstock snapped off. Yay!
This is a great show. Yeah.
So, you got to have some amps, or are you going virtual? How does it work in the studio?
So with me, it's a little bit different. All of my amping is done by Fluff, who's my sound engineer for almost all of my videos, all of my songs for the last 4 years, maybe. So when I'm at home, I don't know. I'm the type of player where I don't really want to think too much about the amp settings. I just throw on something crappy, just whatever is built into the software. And then I get the raw DI signal, and I just try to make sure that I get the DI signal as good as it can be. And then I send it off to Fluff, and he amps it through a whole lot of different things depending on the song or the video. And that would even be more a question for him.
And his name is Fluff?
Fluff.
Yeah. He's another full-time YouTube creator, and he's like the internet's gear guy. Is kind of how he's put. And he does all my sound. Yeah, his channel is called Riffs, Beards, and Gear. Yeah, Fluff's awesome. He does all my sound, and
we're gonna have to talk to Fluff.
That's pretty.
Just because
really
I love his damn name.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But everybody is going to that now, and it's fantastic that you can do that. I think lay down a track,
send the dry signal
and
anywhere.
move some air if you want to, but always capture the dry signal.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you,
because if
it's
that
real
performance
easy.
is 1 in a million,
Yeah.
and something's wrong with the sound, or the amp dies halfway through, or whatever technology you're playing through dies halfway through, you still have the raw signal to go back and reamp. That I dig.
Here's the beautiful part, and maybe for some of the younger listeners or even guys that don't use this stuff, basically, if you have a good preamp, it usually has a line out, right? A lot of them have a 1/4-inch line out.
Sure, of course.
Right? Well, you can do a couple different things. You can either run into it and then out and actually go into the front of your amp because it's zero load on the thing. It's just it wants to go to a powered monitor if anything else. So you could do it that way. Or you could use the software inside. Well, when you use the software, it's just a VST plugin, which is a virtual instrument, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the signal, if you delete the instrument, if you delete the VST, it's just a dry signal. It's just your guitar going directly to the software.
Right.
So then you could take that MP3 or WAV or whatever you want to keep it as, and then run that and reamp anything forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing. Back in the day, they used to have to split your signal. You know what I mean? Or come out of the mixing board and go into the front of the amp with a special load or whatever. So it was a whole different ball game. But now it's so much easier. It's just right there.
It used to be you physically had to split it.
Oh yeah,
and
you
then
had to get it out of there
send
somehow.
one to a dry channel and one to your amplifier, and if you were smart enough to do that,
So now it's kind of nice because you can just click the button and there's nothing, and it's just your horrible guitar sound.
It is kind of funny how, especially when you record like metal tunes and you listen back to the DI, it's like, this is awful.
It is horrible. I remember I was doing some tracks a long time ago, and I was recording direct to right to the audio, right to tape. I'm a little older, so it was going to tape, and my bass player was sitting there. Now I could hear the entire affected sound through my headphones. He heard nothing but my guitar, and he was just shaking his head no. And I'm looking at him going, what the hell are you saying no to? And he goes, dude, that sounded horrible. And I said, okay, well, here's the finished product. And he was like, that sounded like that? And I said, yeah, it's pretty funny,
That's how it starts. Yeah, that's how it starts when it comes out that little hole in the bottom of the guitar.
Yeah, it sounds like crap until you get to something that sounds good.
Right.
Yeah. Before I knew what I was doing here and I was working with Fluff, I would get the DI signal, but I didn't know how to get it into any digital amp, or I didn't have a DI box to split it into a real amp. So I would be recording for maybe a year and doing metal tracks with no distortion on it and trying to figure out, was that pinch harmonic okay? I have no idea.
Lord.
And I wouldn't know until later when I got it back from Fluff. So that was a bit silly that I did that for a while.
Well, not as silly as you think, because that'll make you a damn good player.
Oh, my God.
If you can accomplish that and it sounds good dry, that's when you got some chops.
Did come out better because of it, but it certainly was a lot more frustrating.
Oh, for sure.
And one thing's for
learning
sure.
curves usually are.
One thing's for sure. Rob is no slouch. You got some really good chops there, man. You do these.
Thank you.
You do the covers, even though some of them are so hilarious. You're a serious musician. I mean,
Thank you.
Take away the comedy aspect of it, and you lay it down pretty good, man. You got that thing humming along. I would look at a 9-string and just run away. I would be like,
I ran from a 7 already, so it's.
I played a 7 one time. A friend of mine had a 7. He says, "Here, try this." And I try. I said, "Okay." And he says, "Look, you got to do it for like 20 minutes, and you'll start to get used to it." I said, "Okay, I'm going to do it for like 20 days because I keep hitting this low string, not realizing what I'm doing, and it was."
We had somebody bring one out to a gig once, and I just picked it up on break, and I said, maybe I can play it during the set or something. I started playing. It's like, I can't do this. I can't.
You gotta abandon everything.
I can't get used to it. There's something that's just not clicking in my brain. Anyway, you know what your problem is? You're looking at it.
Yeah, you kind of gotta
You're looking at it.
You gotta abandon every. You got to look at it as a new instrument.
Yeah, but for me, it was if you don't look at it,
it ain't so bad.
There's just one extra thing on the bottom. But if you look at it, it throws off your entire context of what you're supposed to be looking at.
It
then
definitely
it gets really weird really fast.
Yeah,
definitely
if you've been
screwed
playing
with
this whole time and using the bottom string as your reference.
Right.
You pick up the 7 string, and then all of a sudden everything's
it goes
goofy.
out the window.
And then you pick up a 9 string.
Yeah, that's
9.
Yeah, I love the 9. I love the 9 string.
That's bizarre.
Pretty soon it'll just be like, we're just. Bass players are hard to find. I'm just get rid of them. Just you got a 10-string guitar, you're fine. You're okay. You're going. I just can't imagine. The wider that neck starts to get.
Look, we've seen some basses made by like Brubaker and other guys.
But
like
they
got
to run 2 truss rods, and then
you're
really getting into some math.
How long do the fingers actually have to be to get to the top of the neck?
What is it called? The Chapman stick, right?
Yeah,
isn't that?
Yeah.
They
still
play.
haven't done a video with that.
But that's
such a request.
That's 2 hands, and one hand covers the bottom, and the other hand covers the top.
You actually played one of those, Rob?
I've never played one. It's been one of the top requested things from people in the comment section on YouTube for years, but I've just never got my hands on one.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely on the to-do list.
It looks like I just would look at it and go, that's a lot of work.
Fun in it, though.
Yeah. So you said you occasionally you get together with some people and play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty rare. So performing live isn't really a priority for me. If there's something that comes up, and I'm fortunate enough to have that opportunity, I will definitely be taking it. For pretty much just for tour because Awesome really, I guess, is the only one so far that was an opportunity that I wanted to jump on. But yeah, I play in a band called Hank Green and the Perfect Strangers, which is very different than the stuff that I make, and it's a completely different audience. I play drums for that band, and we're comprised of a lot of different YouTube musicians. And we've gone on 3 tours so far. We put out an album, and on that tour, I also play as a solo artist to start the set off, and that's like the only time I play live as a solo artist. And it's a ton of fun. It's a great time.
What's the name of the band again?
Yeah.
Hank Green and the Perfect Strangers.
Hank Green and the Perfect Strangers.
Well, look at this. We're going to have to... you obviously have videos of the band out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have one music video that we've made, though there's plenty of live stuff.
Okay, so what's going to happen
How
is...
ironic is that? He's making one music video with the band.
Well, he's busy. He's doing all these
totally.
He's playing Metallica on a banjo.
Right.
So what's going to happen is on our webpage at ampsandaccesscast.com, underneath the episode, and this is going to live in
perpetuity.
That's right. Even when it goes into the archives, I'm going to have all of your stuff there. You're going to have your web page, you're going to have your Facebook page, your YouTube page, everything that associates with Rob.
There you go.
And we'll make sure that we get maybe one of those videos up, but we will definitely have what bread sounds like inside the video, inside this article.
That's pretty cool.
So glad that's seeing the light of day.
We're going to bring it back, man. That's what's going to
happen.
happen.
It's coming back. Squirrel in a Spacesuit is coming back.
There you go. That's a world tour right there.
There you go. There you go. He's not going to tour when he could actually sit home and make money.
Yeah.
Touring, unless you got merch, touring's not making any money anymore.
Exactly.
That is
that's wild that you're out there. So your drum skills, you got to be. It just got to be right there, being out with a band and all.
I definitely feel like coming back from these tours, I definitely feel like I've become a much better drummer through playing live.
I got to get a drum set.
That's cool.
Oh, I love
that's what
drums.
it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, because I notice, Leo was the same way. I mean, he's a drummer, and the guy plays all these instruments, and you guys are hammering out these songs, and I don't think people understand how hard it is, especially if you do any original stuff. It is insane to try to do a complete song playing all the instruments because, a lot of times you got to get those grooves. You got to kind of have that extra guy. You got to try a riff with a drummer, and it's kind of hard to do it with yourself.
I mean, a guitar player and a drummer and a bass player, sans everything else. But those three are their own mindsets. Like I think all those kind of players hear things a little differently.
Yeah, so when you throw out a
interpret
riff,
it differently.
Yeah, when you throw out a riff, your drummer will pick up. Oh, okay. And then your bass player's in the groove, and then
but it may not be what the guitar player
that's true
heard. It might be similar, Yeah. Or it could be way the hell off. But,
oh, I've been there.
Yeah, you're right. We all have. But it's different mindsets, So you come at it from all those different things.
Yeah, but doing it by
yeah.
Well,
at least you get what you want. At least you get what if you do it yourself. At least you get what you want.
Yeah. Well, it's like Trent Reznor, though. You listen to some of that stuff, and I go, that guy wrote every part.
Nah, it's Dave Grohl.
That's true. Yeah.
He was fighting all the foo by himself in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, he's a different animal too.
That's true.
So, any besides Metallica, man, what else you got?
I got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Good.
I always got quite a bit. One big part that I've been focused on is not so much on the creative side, but I just hired a video editor. So getting into a new work schedule with him is like the main thing, other than making these Metallica videos right now, is one of the main things that I'm focused on. And that's, a whole different part of this system is learning how to kind of, be an employer.
Wow.
And,
well, you've gotten to that level.
Yeah. And that brings me,
it's an exciting place to be.
That brings me to my next question is, we asked Leo, I don't know if he skated around it. I think it might have been a language barrier. But when did YouTube contact you, or how did that work? That it, because it isn't like, hey, I'm going to put up a video, and when 50 people like it, they call you or you start getting paid. There had to be a point where when you hit a certain number, all of a sudden something happened. Did they contact you? Is that how that worked?
No, that might have been how it worked maybe in 2008. The business side of this all is pretty complicated. And once I've found normally once I start talking about it, people are like, okay, that isn't interesting at all. And that was, 1,000 words that I wasn't interested in. But basically, it has been a lot different now. When I applied for my YouTube partnership, it was kind of like applying for college. It felt like, where I remember I had to submit this huge form, and monetization was very new at the time. It was very experimental. And so I had to submit my channel for monetization, and then they would monitor my channel for a few months, and I had to swear by my life that I would never upload copywritten content. Mm-hmm. And then I got partnered. And I remember in 2008, that was a really big deal. Though now it's not getting partnered. I think now is just, if you have a YouTube channel and you have, I think they're changing the rules now to where you have to have at least 10,000 views to be partnered. But
I saw that the other day.
You just didn't, you could just make any YouTube channel and press a button and you could monetize things. But that's one misconception I think a lot of people have, and a lot of even YouTubers have, about the business side, is they think, oh, I'm going to be a full-time YouTuber, or this person is a full-time YouTuber. So like any other job, all of your income comes from one source. And that's not how it runs at all. I think if you're doing this right, in my opinion, and you're running your business of being a content creator correctly and in a smart way, AdSense revenue and the money you make directly from YouTube is just a piece of the pie. And it shouldn't even be a significant piece of the pie, because it's a dull representation of how much value you're actually creating. And if you're trying to make a living on ad revenue, you're just setting yourself up to be really stressed out, because it fluctuates really dramatically. So if you're doing it right, you need to have a diverse set of different income streams that don't rely so heavily on YouTube's algorithm. Because, just basing your business entirely out of YouTube AdSense is just not a very wise thing to do.
Well, that is very cool, man. And that is a nice insight to something that I have wondered for 5 years.
And it's something that we're all still figuring out. The business side is always changing.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting. And just even now, the advice I would give to someone who wants to make a living being a content creator, if you want to use the lamest term possible to describe people making stuff for the internet, my advice would be a lot different than it was 4 years ago. Like 4 years ago, Patreon didn't even exist, and that's totally changed the game.
Oh, Patreon is a whole new, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got on that. Jack Conte started Patreon. He's another old school YouTuber. He was in a band called Pomplamoose that had some serious success in maybe 2008.
Okay.
And he came up with this idea for Patreon. I don't know exactly when it was, but I remember getting on it right away. And that was a big turning point for me to when it wasn't shortly after that I quit my day job and was able to go full time. And Patreon was one of the things that really brought it overboard.
Wow.
Yeah. So every time I've seen Jack maybe 5 times since then, and every time I see him, I just thank him to the point of being annoying for creating Patreon.
Yeah, because that's a site where you can go and you can sell your stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, you're not necessarily. It's not like you're selling merchandise or anything. It's more you're already creating stuff.
Yeah.
And if people want to, I also frame it like the super subscribe button. You know, you can subscribe on YouTube and then super subscribes on Patreon. And you can give away kind of DVD extras, essentially, is how I put it. But I find most people, if they're into your stuff and they want it to exist, and they're fine with throwing you maybe $1 a month, you know, just have it continue existing. And if you got, 1% of your subscriber base giving you $1 a month, that turns into some significant funding, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. It's I saw it the other day and I was like, well, this is crazy because it revolves around, and obviously now we know the creator was a musician or is a musician and was with a band. You can put your band out there. And if you may not be Metallica, right? But you can make a substantial living if you have a good fan base. And say you're like one of these indie bands that, people want to kind of keep you still, they want you to be underground.
Otherwise you're a sellout.
Yeah, they will pay, they will pay their little monthly fee to keep that thing going.
To keep content coming from you.
Yeah. But you're not
I'm happy to throw. There's a lot of creators on YouTube that I really enjoy, and I throw them a few bucks a month on Patreon just to say, hey, thanks for making this. It's not.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's just
not free.
So it's just such compared to AdSense revenue.
Yeah.
It per audience member, it's just a mammoth amount more because the advertisers, they don't care how much the audience likes the content.
Yeah.
And they frankly they don't value you or your viewers at all. And I think it's just a better way of going about things. But again, to go back to diversifying, that should be, again, just one revenue stream. You shouldn't rely on any one of them. But Patreon has really changed the game in that it allows for a far more reliable source of funding for videos. But I could talk about this stuff all day long.
And but this is good though. This is good to know. And it's good to share with our listeners because they may not know about it. The great thing about and we always talk sometimes about how technology is like, but the good thing about it is things like these Patreon. This is an avenue for you to be able to put your stuff out there and get it to the people that really want to listen to you. And then they're going to pay that monthly fee to help you support it.
See, the aspect of it that I'm wondering how it changes or what changes or how you go about changing this. But, I mean, we've discussed many times that a lot of people out there have the mindset that there's all the music, everybody's content should be free.
Yeah.
Because they should just be entitled to it. If they want to listen to it, they should be entitled to listen to it without the concept in their little brains that it costs time and money to produce this. Yeah. So it sounds like the people that are
dedicated to the band.
No, just into becoming into the Patreon mindset.
Yeah.
Are aware of this and are willing to participate in that aspect of it. It's like, okay, this content is worth something.
Yeah.
And how do you change everybody to get them there.
Well, Jeff,
Because there's
come
a lot
on.
of disrespectful people out there when it comes to what things are worth.
Well, we can't throw our locks away yet.
Sorry. I'm
Well,
sorry.
It's more.
I
I feel
rant.
those people who are actively against stuff like this and are going to shout it from the rooftops are a lot louder than everyone else. I think overwhelmingly, like, people kind of get it. And as long as you're doing the Patreon page right and you're not like exploiting anyone, it's just like, hey, if you want to see these videos 2 days before they come out, throw me $1 a month. Like, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think the people who are actively against it, I wouldn't take that too much to heart, because you're talking about, you know, if 10,000 people listen to a video or whatever, and then you have 2 comments from people saying that's not a significant percentage. That's just a really loud few people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know,
agree.
If they don't appreciate what you're doing, then I mean, why go out of your way to make stuff for them anyway?
Well, true.
Yeah.
True.
So that's
Yeah.
cool. So we
I
you
guess you have to
obviously
know your audience.
You obviously have a Patreon channel, right? Is it called a channel? What is it called?
The Patreon page.
You have a page.
And
So
the
we'll make
people on it are patrons.
Yeah,
Cool.
we'll make sure that we have that link too, so you guys can go out there and
it'd be cool.
subscribe
I have
to
check
his
that out
stuff, man.
myself.
Yeah,
that's new for me.
Absolutely,
I'll check
yeah.
it out myself.
Patreon page is really, really great. I recently did a push for it that I really liked, where I put out a new album. I put out a metal album and all like extended range guitars, which was really fun to record. It's like super aggressive stuff, quite a lot different than my other, full albums that I put out. Basically the opposite of the one I put out prior to that. But anyway, I did something on there where if you were a patron at any level for that 1 month, you got your name printed on the vinyls and the CDs, and those are shipping out super soon. And I'm so excited about them. They look
that
awesome.
is cool.
So physical, CDs.
Oh yeah,
that's wow. That's
Yeah.
real. That's cool. That's
and
nice.
the vinyls look super cool. It'll be the second vinyl that I put out. I was always really skeptical about doing any, physical music or vinyls, because I figured, it's not something that people are going to be interested in. And I was really pleasantly surprised. My audience totally proved me wrong. They are interested in getting vinyls, and that's a really amazing feeling. It's really fulfilling to know that, the album that I worked really hard on, people physically own the grooves and in this really cool packaging. It's just really cool. I didn't expect it to work
neat.
at all.
That is. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah.
Plus you
and
got
I don't care who it is and what the content is. I'm just really happy to hear when people say, "Oh no, this is going really well. People are purchasing this physical product."
Well,
this
also
is great because
too, you can do more with it.
Well, you not only can do more at that point. Unlike downloads, you have a physical investment in this product.
Plus, when the EMP
So it's
hits,
not
you still
as-
have it.
Right, and it's not as disposable as virtual.
Exactly.
And even back on that, even downloads now are kind of outdated. Like, people are just streaming. Like, even owning the
actual content.
the actual even just file on your phone is now, kind of going away. It's all about streaming.
Yeah, I mean, iTunes is doing that now. Now you can actually get it downloaded to your phone. Let's just say it's on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Or, no, just leave it out there. And when you play it, it actually streams it through through the phone, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, doesn't that cost more? But
amazing. And like what a Spotify subscription is like $10. Like, could you imagine even, I remember riding my bike down to Best Buy to get System of a Down's new album and put it in my CD player. And if someone could tell me at the time, like, hey, you could pay $10 a month and literally have everything, blow my mind.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that is. Well, hey, the technology is constantly changing.
But then again, the artist doesn't make crap on it.
Oh no, streaming is like.
Yeah.
If I was trying to build this whole business, that's another one of the more constant like revenue streams. But if I was trying to build this business on like song streams, I mean, no way. No way at all.
You'd be back at that library.
Yeah.
You'd be finding out what sound bread makes.
Yeah, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, no, it's
that
not.
is beautiful.
It's not.
Now,
I imagine if if you're Justin Timberlake, you're probably making great money on music streaming. But if you're Justin Timberlake, you're making money other places. You don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So the last question I have is you were saying about copyright material. Do you have to get permission from these bands to do their songs, or is it because the format that you're doing it in is completely different than what the song was written in?
Yeah, well, it's so here's how it works for me, and it's kind of changed over the years and gotten more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's gotten more refined over the years, and maybe in 2008 it was more of a Wild West, and there were a lot more problems just all across the board. But now things are a little bit easier with YouTube, or a lot easier. So if I'm covering, say, a Metallica song.
Yeah,
I work with a network, and they handle, making sure I get the best ad rates on YouTube and all that stuff. And that honestly doesn't really help all that much. If you're a YouTube creator and an MCN is coming after you saying, hey, give us 30% of your revenue and we're going to bring your ads way up because we have that's false. But anyway, so the main thing that they do for me, they also throw me some sponsors every now and then when they get them. So that's really helpful. But anyway, if I'm making a Metallica cover, I will have the video ready and done, and then I will send them an unlisted link before the video comes out, and then they put it in their system, and then they make sure that the original artist gets their proper cut of the AdSense revenue. And so that's how it works. So all of my covers, a percentage, the proper legal percentage, I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think maybe it's 15%, 18%. Goes to the original artist. But if you're a channel that's doing parodies, then that's different. That's fair use, and parodies are completely owned by you.
Wow.
But the videos that I do, like Weird Al doesn't need permission and owns 100% of those songs because they're parodies and under fair use. But for me, I guess maybe you could argue that playing it on banjo might be whatever, but I don't see them as parodies. They're just straight up covers. So 15% or whatever it is, just automatically goes to the original artist. So no, I don't need to get permission, but I do legally need to get.
But you do have to pay them, right?
Yeah, it's it's basically an ASCAP fee.
It's similar, BMI ASCAP.
There's a little mailbox money for whoever wrote.
So I wonder where Hasty Dixie falls.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the whole banjo AC/DC thing.
Totally, that's crazy.
Yeah,
well,
I think I'm gonna think of it. Well, I guess that's basically it. That's basically how that works.
Cool.
Well, cool. Very.
Well, I tell you what.
Yeah, if you don't have an MCN or something doing it, there is an automated system with YouTube, but then you're really it's really risky then, because then you're just bringing it up to, the content ID, and they might misflag it or whatever. And usually in that case, either it'll be claimed and then that cover 100% of the AdSense will go to the original artist, or ads will be taken off, or the video could even be taken down, depending on, it just gets real tricky. So if you're doing covers, you really need someone, in the middle, making sure that everything is nice and legal, and you're not going to all of a sudden lose the ads on your video.
Now MCN is an acronym for?
Multi-channel network.
Look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So, and that's, there's a lot of them that have been around. But if you're listening to this and you're a YouTube creator, I would strongly recommend not jumping on with an MCN right away, because they kind of, I don't know, you really need something in particular that they could help you with. A lot of people get suckered in with them, and they don't realize they can negotiate, and then they just sign a contract, and then an MCN takes, in some cases, 30% of your AdSense revenue and don't do anything in return. So just be careful of that. I was really late to the game with being on an MCN, and my main thing is the covers. So that's why I need it. But if you're not doing covers, I don't know. I don't think you'll need to be an MCN. But I don't know how many people listening will apply to this.
It's good information, though. Well, cool.
You know what? This was
I learned.
This was awesome, man.
I learned. things.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Rob. Because
sure. My pleasure. If you have any more questions, I don't know.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for your time, and there's a few different stories there, a few different things we learned in there. So that was really good.
And everybody, check out his YouTube page, man.
Yeah, man. Much continued success.
Cat rocks.
in everything you do, and looking forward to the to putting a little bit of the MP3 file in this because I got to hear it. I got to hear it. So that's cool, man.
We're gonna find out what bread sounds like, kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Rob, thank you. Have a great rest of the day and much continued success to you.
Same to you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care, man. And there you have the, I guess, virtual story or story of the virtual.
Hey, look, hate it, love it, whatever you want to do. Realize that it is here to stay. It will be a part of our next generation.
Oh no,
these guys are they're the next thing. I mean, you're going to get parodies, but you're going to get real bands, and you're going to find out that a lot of these guys, they don't hit the road too often.
No,
but they're out there.
Don't even play out too often.
No,
at all.
And they're out there, and
if they do, they play a different instrument.
Exactly. I mean, when he said drums and bass, and I'm like,
but he actually tours as a drummer.
Yeah,
so,
but he plays the guitar like a freaking monster.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah,
that's amazing.
Leaving us all behind.
Yeah. Well, look, this is part of our show, man, where we're showing people this other side that we're still new to. You know, I mean, it really is. It's a ton of work what these guys are doing, because it's not like, hey, I just wrote this song and I recorded it. Hey, I wrote this song, I recorded it. Now I got to make a video, and I got to come up with a concept. And his are crazy. I mean, he's everywhere.
Obviously, enough people want to see it.
Oh yeah,
that he's in the millions and tens of millions of views.
We didn't get his age. He's only 26, so he's right in that sweet spot, man.
Wow.
So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
and he's got employees.
Well,
how about that?
He's taken this technology to the next level.
Oh, he's using it to
he's one of the guys that have really taken it up there. So. Good on you, man.
Yeah, and look, when you go out, you got to make sure you go to our page, ampsandaccesscast.com, because that throws the love and some justification why we have it. But while you're out there, man, check out our good buddy up north,
Mr. Jason Seditas.
That's right. And we also have an Amazon banner. If you click through that thing and buy something, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
They grease our palms a little bit. We
Just
keep
tiny little bit. It keeps the LED on in here.
That's right. Yeah, we did this whole thing by the light on my phone.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. But Jeff pays his bills. It's all right, kids. But it helps keep the coal in here, and it keeps the hard drive not really spinning because it's solid state.
There you go.
Anyway. So until next time, my friend.
Because you never know where we're going to go next.
Oh, yes.
You never know.
I'm Mick Marcelino.
That's right. And I'm
you're
Jeff Bober.
That's even better.
That's what somebody told me.
And we're always saying
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @AmpsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage, ampsandaccesscast.com. Thanks for listening.
Let's go.